Good morning. Welcome to another fabulous episode of How Many Tabs Are Open on Mr. Johnson's Computer. We're trying to be responsible lately, so it's only 2, 4, 6, 8, 8. I think, yeah, if you have more than 8 tabs open, that's a lot of tabs open. I have more than 8 tabs open a lot of the time. And I think it doesn't help me be as productive. So just a tip for life. Don't be like Mr. Johnson. It's not helpful. Um, all right, opening another tab. I guess I could just close this one because I don't need it anymore. Um, let's see. Yeah, I think I need the rest of those. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so today is February 10th. It's my parents' anniversary. Happy anniversary, mom and dad. Let's go ahead and click on the activity for the day. Da, da, da. Let's find out what's going on. Also, don't forget, I closed the tab that I want to look at. So let's take a look again. Remember today, you already did your play pause it. If you didn't do your play pause it, go back and do the play pause it first because it kind of gives you more information to make this assignment easier. If you do this assignment first and then do the play pause it, sometimes like you miss out on things that would have made the assignment easier. All right, so definitely check that out. So we have a 3-page assignment again. All right, and basically what looks like we're doing, we are given words, and we are trying to find, whoa, they're using brackets and parentheses already. Okay, so we're going to be using our bracket goggles and parentheses goggles. And basically that's going to help us decide which expression, first of all, remember expressions are math problems with no equal sign. So we need to find out which expression matches the words. All right. So once again, let's take a quick trip down review lane. Boop, 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 boop. All right. So first off, your order of operations. What's our mnemonic device? Boone practices math. Always, right? That's our mnemonic device. B P M A. All right. B P M A. Once again, B stands for brackets. We have to solve what's in brackets first. Second, we have to solve what's in parentheses. Third, we have to solve what's the multiplying or dividing in the problem. And remember, you do that from left to right. It's not like multiply comes before divide. You do all the multiplication and division in the same step from left to right. Same thing with adding and subtracting. You do all of that in one step at the very end from left to right. Oops. I guess. Left to right. Okay. So brackets. Remember, brackets look like robot parentheses. Parentheses are like the snowmen that we're using to find common denominators with fractions, multiplying and dividing, and then adding and subtracting. I showed some of y'all in class yesterday. I think that sometimes our fifth grade order of operations kind of looks like a little funny robot. Um, if you have an imagination like I do, sometimes you just start seeing things that are not there. But I was just like, hey, it kind of looks like a little happy robot. So there's your order of operations in adorable illustration form. Uh, as long as you remember it, it doesn't matter, right? Okay, so brackets, parentheses, multiply, divide, add, subtract. All right, so we need to work BPMA through everything that we do today. So let's take a look at the assignment again. Yesterday I started on page 3. My bad. Sorry. Didn't mean to confuse y'all if you got confused on yesterday's by starting on page 3. That's totally my fault. And I forgot to say something in class. So oops. So I'm going to start with page 1 today, like a responsible human being. Okay, so which expression shows 3 groups of 2 times 4 plus 3? All right, so one of the things that I want to do is I just want to think it out and not even look at the answer choices. Which expression shows 3 groups of 2? 3 groups of 2 sounds like 3 times 2. 3 groups of 2. Whenever we're doing groups of 2 or groups of something, usually that's multiplication, right? So 3 groups of 2, and we want to multiply that times 4 plus 3. Okay, so here's the problem. It's saying I need to take 3 times 2 and multiply it times 4 plus 3. Now, I think I need some grouping symbols in here because if I use BPMA right now, I have no brackets, I have no parentheses. So the first thing that I would be doing is multiplying and dividing, right? Now, there's a problem with that because what it's saying is I need to take the product of 3 times 2, it says, which expression shows 3 groups of 2 times 4 plus 3. So how can I do 4 plus 3 first? Because they're telling me that I need to multiply 4 or I need to multiply 3 times 2 times 4 plus 3. If I use the order of operations right now, there's no brackets, there's no parentheses, so I would just do 3 times 2 equals 6, and then I would multiply 6 times 4 to get 24, and all of a sudden I'm realizing I'm not multiplying times 4 times 3, or 4 plus 3. So I need to think about what's something that will make me do that part of the problem first. All right. And if you said we could possibly use either brackets or parentheses to make us focus on that first, you're absolutely correct. So let's just try parentheses. All right. So now what this says is this says we have to add 4 plus 3 first, and then we can start multiplying because parentheses come before multiplication and division. Even though this is addition, once we put the parentheses around the addition problem, it becomes our focus, right? If we put on bracket goggles, we don't see anything. Take them off. If we put on our parentheses goggles, which part of the problem do we have to do first? The addition part. See, so like with the order of operations, addition is the last step. If you need someone to add before they multiply, put it in parentheses because all of a sudden that's like do this first. All right. Parentheses are basically telling you to do this part first. All right. Do this part. I mean, if you don't have brackets. So we'll just say kind of first. We'll say both of these mean that. So brackets and parentheses, those mean do this part first. Obviously, whatever's in brackets comes first, whatever comes in parentheses comes second. But like you have to make the brackets and parentheses disappear before you can move on. So let's see if we have a problem that looks kind of like this. 3 groups of 2 times the sum of 4 plus 3. Okay, so it looks like we have something similar, but not totally the same. So I got to show you something to remind you. So remember when we were finding common denominators with fractions? We would multiply by putting a number next to a number in parentheses. So this would be the same thing as 2 times 1. This would be the same thing as 2 times 2. So remember, this means multiply. When you see a number in parentheses next to a number that is not in parentheses and there's no symbol, that means multiply. All right. So for instance, that means 2 times 3. All right. And this is just a way that you're going to see multiplication a lot more in the future is with parentheses. Okay. So these things mean exactly the same thing. You're looking at 2 times 3 over here. You're looking at 2 times 3 over here. So what they did, oops, in our problem that we're looking at on the other page is they used brackets. Okay, so if we look at this, put on your bracket goggles. Okay, so in one of these, we see 2 times 4 plus 3. Right here, we see 2 times 4 plus 3. We would do 4 plus 3 first because it's in parentheses. All right, and then this one, we see 2 times 4 plus 3, but which one would we do first, 4 plus 3 or 2 times 4? Because we do multiplication before addition, on this side, you would be multiplying 2 times 4 instead of adding 4 plus 3 as your first step. So let me show you how to work out both of these, and we'll see why the answers are different, okay? So A, we had, let's see, 3 bracket, 2 parentheses, 4 plus 3 parentheses, bracket. That was problem A. Problem B was 3 parentheses 2 times 4 plus 3, close parentheses. All right, so we're going to solve both of these. All right, but only one of these is going to give us the answer that adding 4 plus 3 to begin with and then multiplying the rest would have given us. So let's check this out, okay? So bracket goggles on. So on both of these, we're just going to put our bracket goggles on. That means all we can see is the stuff inside brackets, all right? So one of these has brackets, one of these does not have brackets. So let's look at the one with brackets and let's go ahead and solve what's inside the brackets. First thing we're going to do is we're going to try and get rid of um, our first step. So we're inside brackets, we have parentheses. Let's do what's inside parentheses. 4 plus 3 is 7. And because there's no symbol between the two in the parentheses, I am not going to make the parentheses disappear. If I make the parentheses disappear, it just looks like that, right? And it's not 27, that's 2 times 7. So instead of making the parentheses disappear, you can keep the parentheses on there, and that shows you that it's 2 times 7. Remember, a number next to a number in parentheses is multiplication. So what we're looking at with this inside the brackets is 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is 14. Once again, we don't have a symbol between 3 and the bracket, so we have 3 outside the bracket, and that means, once again, multiply. All right, so a number next to a number in brackets means multiply. We still have brackets on our problem, right? But now we have one number just in brackets, so we can go to the next step, which is multiply 3 times 14. All right, 3 times 14 you might have to do on the side. And when you do math in this form, don't do the calculations inside the snow cone. Just do it to the side and then add it back to the problem. So our answer was 42. Now let's see what happens on this side and why this wouldn't be correct. Why is B incorrect? So you put on your bracket goggles, you don't see anything. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our parentheses goggles. So what am I going to do first in this problem? 2 times 4 or 4 plus 3? Because multiplication comes before addition, we're going to do 2 times 4 first. So as you can see, that just messed up my problem, because what it said here is I need to do 3 groups of 2 times 4 plus 3. When I did 2 times 4, I immediately removed the problem 4 plus 3, so I can't do that. Because now my problem is 8 plus 3. I need 2 times 7, not 8 plus 3. So if I wanted to, and I wanted to make this, once again, wanted to make this one, make an adjustment so this problem does make sense, you could put an extra set of, like, technically I would change these to brackets, and then I would just put parentheses around 4 plus 3. That would make that work, but without those parentheses around 4 plus 3, this problem does not work, because the first step you would do is 2 times 4, because multiplication comes before addition and subtraction. So which one is correct? Let's move this little red check over A. A is correct. That is the expression that shows 3 groups of 2 times the sum of 4 plus 3. All right, so 3 groups of 2, 3 times 2 times 4 plus 3. So if this was a word problem, you could do the whole word problem, like a multi-step word problem, in one expression. This would be like saying, Billy has, let's see, let me read this real quick. Which expression shows 3 groups of 2 times 4 plus 3? So like Billy has 3 bags with 2 cookies each. He doubles the amount, he multiplies the amount times. Let's see. He wants to make sure that he has enough cookies for all of his friends, so he multiplies the amount times the amount of friends that he has. He has 4 male friends and 3 female friends. It's a little complicated. I probably shouldn't make these up on the spot. But basically, what happens here is you can, in the past, when you did a multi-step problem, you had to do it in, like, here's my multiplication problem, here's my addition problem, and then you just kind of squeeze it all together at the end. And now you can solve it all in one expression. And that'll make more sense as we move through this. But remember, the grouping symbols, brackets and parentheses, make it to where you can do steps first without telling someone, do this part first. It literally, brackets tell people to do that part first. Parentheses tell people to do that part first. So here's one that says, which expression shows 1 and 5/10 divided by 3, then added to 4 and 2/10 represented 2 times. So once again, let me just try and put this into a problem without looking at the answer. So I need 1 and 5/10 divided by 3. 1 and 5/10 divided by 3 added to 4 and 2/10 represented 2 times 2. All right. All right. So on this problem, literally, hold on one second. Yeah, literally, we could do this problem without adding any grouping symbols. Because if you think about it, we have to find the answer to the division problem, and then we'll have to find the answer to the multiplication problem, and then the last step that we'll do is add them, right? So we should get the correct answer from doing this. All right. Now, oh, they're mixing it up. Okay. So what they want you to do, instead of this part where it says then added to 4 and 2/10 represented 2 times, I believe that what they meant is then added to 4 and 2/10, then double that. All right. So this is actually kind of confusing. Which expression shows 1 and 5/10 divided by 3 and then added to 4/10 represented 2 times? They should have put a period right there. Let's go ahead and do that. And remember, that's not a second decimal. And then we'll say then represented 2 times. So that's the last thing that we need to do is double the answer. All right. Because all the ones, if I look down here, basically all these say that we're going to do something, and the last thing that we're going to do is multiply by 2 because the 2 is sitting outside the brackets. So we're going to solve everything that's in the brackets first, and then we're going to multiply it by 2. All right. So that's why I think that they kind of made this a confusing word problem. So it's a good thing you're watching the video because this is a interesting one. So let's just check it out and let's see which one matches. All right. So we're going to take 2, and then we're going to put 1 and 5/10 divided by 3 plus 4 and 2/10, close bracket, close parentheses, close bracket. Okay, this side we're going to put 2, and then we're going to do 4 and 2/10 plus 1 and 5/10 divided by 3. All right, so if we use our order of operations, BPMA, obviously we're going to put on our bracket goggles, those bracket goggles on. So on this side, we see everything in the brackets that's over here. In this side, we see everything that's in the brackets that's over here. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do on this side is we are going to look, and what else do we have? If you said we also have parentheses, you are correct. So inside the brackets, there are also parentheses. So the first thing that we're going to do on the left side is 3 plus 4 and 2/10. The first step that we're going to do on the right side is 1 and 5/10 divided into 3 groups. So let's just return to this. Which expression shows 1 and 5/10 divided by 3 groups, then added to 4 and 2/10? So which one allows us to start off with 1 and 5/10 divided into 3 groups? That would be option B. Option A, already out of order, because the first thing they're doing is adding 3 to 4 and 2/10. And over here, it never really said that we are adding 3 to 4 and 2/10. It said we need to take 1 and 5/10 divided by 3 and then add to 4 and 2/10. So we have to divide 1 and 5/10 by 3 before we ever add it to the 4 and 2/10. So that would be our first step, and then it would be 4 and 2/10 plus whatever our response to 1 and 5/10 divided by 3 was. So we don't need to work this problem all the way to the end, but we do need to realize that since the first step on side B was 1 and 5/10 divided by 3, and the first step on side A was 3 plus 4 and 2/10, our problem says the first thing we need to do is 1 and 5/10 divided by 3. So the only one that's going to work is B, because that is our first step, because it's in the brackets and the parentheses. So that would be the first step. All right, let's take a look at the last one. Which expression shows 5 subtracted from 2 groups of half times 7? Okay, 5 subtracted from 2 groups two groups of 1/2 times 7. Okay, so this is what I think I'm looking at. It says two groups of 1/2 times 7, and then you're taking 5 away from that. 5 subtracted from this group right here. All right. So we're taking 5 away from two groups of 1/2 times 7. So what I'm looking at right here is 1/2 times 7 done first, multiply it by 2, and then subtract 5. Let's see if there's a problem that looks like that. Close, real close. All right. So all they did differently was instead of, they did 2, and then instead of a parentheses, they did a bracket. And then instead of doing the multiplication sign, they did the parentheses next to another number. So what we're looking at is the same thing. These two problems are exactly the same. This is 1/2 times 7 as the first step, then multiply times 2, and then after you get all that, you would subtract 5. All right? So let's see what they did over here. The second one looks like 5 minus 2, and then they multiply 1/2 times 7. Now, the problem with this one is 1/2 times 7 isn't, in fact, our first step. We would do that first. But then after that, we would multiply 2 times whatever the answer to 1/2 times 7 is. So it's 3.5. But so then we would have 2 times 3.5 as our next step. And then at the end, we would subtract that from 5. Here's the problem: 2 times 3.5 is 7. So that would be 5 minus 7. That's not fifth grade math because that would be -2. All right. So we cannot do this one. This one will not work. All right. This one, if we're solving it, let's go ahead and solve it down. First off, let's go ahead and let's just use BPMA through this whole thing. So bracket, parentheses, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So we have brackets and parentheses in here. Brackets and parentheses. So we have to do the part that's inside the brackets first. So we have 1/2 times 7. Remember, I just said 1/2 times 7 is half of 7, which is 3 and 5/10. If you're wondering how we do that, think about $7. Half of $7 is $3.50. All right, so we have 2 times 3 and 5/10. So the next step that we're going to do is our multiplication step. And remember, when you have a number next to a number in brackets or parentheses, that's multiplication. So we're looking at 2 times 3 and 5/10, which once again is 7. So we have 7 minus 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. That one makes sense. We have a positive number at the end, and we're in fifth grade. So that one definitely makes sense. So we doubled. Well, first thing we did is we found out what half of 7 was. That's 3 and 5/10. We doubled that by multiplying it times 2 to get 7, and then we subtracted 5 to get 2. So basically, when you're going through the order of operations, those grouping symbols, the brackets and parentheses, are a huge hint on what comes first. All right. And then the rest of it is just really kind of deciding what would I be doing in this problem. So my tip is to try and write a problem that fits the equation or the expression and the words. And then once you've written that problem, try and find an answer that is similar, just like we did over here. So I wrote a problem that was I need to multiply 1/2 times 7 first, then multiply it times 2 minus 5. That was the problem that I came up with right here. And in fact, it was not that far off from the problem they came up with right here. Like I said, those two things look a little bit different, but mean the exact same thing. The brackets and the parentheses still tell you to do that part first. You can multiply without a multiplication symbol by using parentheses, like they did in this example, but it would be the same thing as this. So, once again, paper and pencil, practice, practice, practice. That's the way to get this. It is 100% going to follow you through the rest of your public school math career. Order of operations, solving down the page, simplifying expressions, it does not stop. All right. So please, please, please take the time to practice this on paper. Practice solving in the snow cone down the page. Simplify. Make sure that it gets one step simpler every time you move down in the snow cone. All right. So, if you have any questions, please ask your teachers. I know this is a lot. Next week, we're bringing in letters to represent unknown values. So, basically, like algebraic equations dealing with these. So, you'll see things like x plus 3 equals 7. And you're going to have to solve in a snow cone to figure out what x is. All right. So, let's work on our order of operations this week. So when we move on to like pre-algebra next week, it makes a little more sense. Remember, you have a benchmark tomorrow. Today's an asynchronous day, so we don't have any more math instruction this week. We won't have any more math instruction until Tuesday. All right, and on Tuesday we're starting with letters to represent an unknown value. All right, so like and subscribe if you feel like it, and ask your teachers for help if you need it. And I hope you have a wonderful asynchronous Wednesday, and I'll see you later. Bye.